For decades, the United States stood as the world's primary superpower, economically, militarily, and culturally. Its influence shaped global institutions, set the tone for international diplomacy, and inspired millions with its ideals of freedom and innovation. From Hollywood movies to Silicon Valley breakthroughs, the American way of life became a global aspiration. But in late 2025, a new question is echoing worldwide. Is America's era at the top ending, and is China quietly stepping up to take its place? The world is watching as the balance of power appears to shift, with headlines and conversations everywhere reflecting this uncertainty. This isn't just a headline, it's a shift that affects everything from global trade routes to the technology in your pocket. The choices made in Washington and Beijing ripple outwards, influencing supply chains, investment flows, and even the apps we use every day. The US-China competition is a complex, multi-layered contest reshaping the global order. It's a rivalry that extends beyond economics and military might, touching on technology, culture, and the very rules that govern international relations. On one side, America, with deep-rooted alliances, powerful institutions, and a legacy of leadership in science, technology, and global governance. On the other, China, with a vast population, rapidly growing economy, and ambitious global projects like the Belt and Road Initiative, aiming to connect continents and reshape trade. This isn't just about GDP or military size, it's about two competing visions for the world's future. Each nation offers a different model for progress, prosperity, and governance. The US model is built on democracy and free markets, emphasizing individual rights and open competition. China's path centers on state-led development, national sovereignty, and collective progress, prioritizing stability and long-term planning. The outcome of this rivalry could redefine international rules, trade agreements, and the values that shape our century. The stakes are high, and the world is watching closely. As we explore this rivalry, we'll look past the rhetoric and focus on the facts, examining data, expert opinions, and real-world impacts. What does it mean to be a superpower today, and how do the US and China measure up in this new era of competition and cooperation? Let's examine the evidence, compare their strengths and strategies, and see where things stand right now as a new global chapter unfolds. To compare the US and China, we need to define superpower. It comes down to three pillars: economic power, military power, and soft power. Economic power means a dynamic, globally influential economy, one that funds military strength and shapes global markets. Military power is about more than numbers. It's about advanced technology, global reach, and the ability to project force anywhere. Soft power is a nation's ability to attract and persuade through culture, values, and diplomacy. True superpowers excel in all three areas at once. The US achieved this after World War II, dominating in economy, military, and culture. China is now building its own profile of power, aiming to challenge America's long-held position. But having one pillar isn't enough, it's the combination that counts. The central question is China developing a well-rounded superpower status. Let's break down each pillar. The first pillar, economic power, shows a rapidly closing gap between the world's two largest economies. The United States has long been the dominant force, but China's rise is nothing short of remarkable, and the balance is shifting faster than many expected. The US still leads in nominal GDP, standing as the world's largest economy, but China's economy has soared to about $20 trillion, closing in at an unprecedented pace. This rapid growth has transformed China into a true economic heavyweight on the global stage. By purchasing power parity, which adjusts for cost of living, some argue China is already number one. This measure highlights China's growing ability to produce and consume goods at a scale that rivals or even surpasses the US. This extraordinary growth has lifted hundreds of millions from poverty, fueling a massive middle class and making China the world's factory. Its manufacturing sector produces everything from electronics to clothing, powering global supply chains. The US dollar remains the world's reserve currency, giving America unique financial leverage and influence over international markets. This status allows the US to borrow cheaply and shape global finance. Wall Street and US tech giants like Apple, Microsoft, and Google drive global innovation and wealth, setting trends that ripple across the world. The US remains a hub for cutting-edge technology and financial services, but China is now the top trading partner for over 120 countries, including many US allies. Its vast trade network stretches across continents, reshaping global commerce and supply chains. China's unmatched manufacturing capacity underpins its export power, and it's pushing the yuan as an international currency, aiming to challenge the dollar's dominance in global trade and finance. China's state-led investments are building an economic ecosystem less dependent on the West, with massive infrastructure projects like the Belt and Road Initiative connecting Asia, Africa, and Europe. Both nations compete fiercely for resources and influence in Africa, Latin America, and Southeast Asia, investing in everything from minerals to technology and infrastructure. The US promotes private investment and entrepreneurship, while China offers fast, state-funded infrastructure, giving developing nations a choice between two very different economic models. This isn't just about numbers, it's about building the networks, alliances, and systems that will define the global economy for decades to come. The economic duel between the US and China is shaping the world's future, influencing how nations trade, innovate, and grow in the 21st century. China's Belt and Road Initiative, BRI, is the clearest sign of its global ambition. Launched in 2013, it's a trillion-dollar network of roads, railways, and ports connecting China to Europe, Africa, and beyond. The BRI has funded high-speed rail in Indonesia, ports in Greece, and highways across Africa. For many countries, it's a lifeline for critical infrastructure and economic growth. But critics warn of debt-trap diplomacy, China lending to nations that can't repay, then gaining control of strategic assets. The port of Hambantota in Sri Lanka is a prime example, leased to China after loan defaults. The BRI is more than infrastructure, it's a tool for economic and geopolitical influence. While the US and allies offer alternatives, they struggle to match China's scale and speed. The BRI is Beijing's long-term play to build a China-centric world order. When it comes to military power, the United States still holds the upper hand, but China is closing the gap at a remarkable pace. The world is witnessing a new era of competition between these two giants, each determined to shape the future of global security. America's defense budget now exceeds $850 billion annually, fueling the world's most technologically advanced military. This immense funding supports a sprawling global network of over 750 military bases, allowing the US to project power and influence on nearly every continent. The US Navy, with its unmatched fleet of 11 aircraft carriers, dominates the world's oceans. These floating fortresses secure vital shipping lanes and ensure the free flow of global trade, reinforcing America's status as a maritime superpower. Meanwhile, China's military, once considered outdated, has undergone a dramatic transformation. Today, it boasts the world's second-largest defense budget and, by sheer ship numbers, the largest navy on the planet. Beijing's rapid modernization is evident in its new arsenal: stealth fighter jets, hypersonic missiles, and a navy that's expanding at a rate never seen before. China is determined to close the technological gap and assert its presence on the world stage. China's military ambitions are focused on its immediate region, especially deterring US intervention near Taiwan and asserting control over the South China Sea, a critical waterway for global commerce. Its arsenal now includes carrier-killer missiles and sophisticated anti-access strategies, designed to make any US military operation in Asia far more dangerous and unpredictable. The technological race is intensifying. The US relies on advanced jets, satellites, and global intelligence networks, but China is investing heavily in artificial intelligence, cyber warfare, and space technology, rapidly narrowing the gap. As a result, China's military has become a formidable regional force, directly challenging US dominance near its own shores and in contested waters. America's global reach and ability to deploy forces anywhere in the world remain unmatched, but the balance of power is shifting, especially in Asia. In the next conflict, victory may not be determined by sheer numbers alone, but by who can best leverage technology, innovation, and strategic thinking. US military dominance, once taken for granted, is now being seriously challenged, especially in the waters and skies close to China's mainland. The arms race between these two powers is redefining what military strength means in the 21st century, with new technologies and doctrines emerging at a rapid pace. As tensions rise and strategies evolve, the world is watching closely. aware that the outcome of this rivalry could shape the future of international order for decades to come. Soft power is where the US and China differ most. American culture, movies, music, brands, and universities has global appeal, shaping tastes and values worldwide. China, despite its rich heritage, struggles to match this organic influence. Beijing invests billions in media and Confucius institutes, but these efforts are often seen as propaganda. The US benefits from a network of democratic allies, though recent turmoil has dented its image. China's pragmatic, non-interference diplomacy appeals to some, but its human rights record and assertive actions spark distrust. America's soft power faces challenges, but China's authoritarian system remains a major barrier to winning global hearts and minds. In the battle for influence, culture and values still matter. Technology now intertwines all pillars of power. Silicon Valley led the world in innovation, but China's tech hubs like Shenzhen are rising fast. China's Made in China 2025 strategy aims for global leadership in AI, 5G, and electric vehicles. US companies lead in research, but China's vast data and state support fuel rapid progress. The AI race is fierce. America leads in research, China in data and deployment. US restrictions on Chinese tech have triggered a push for self-sufficiency in China. The world is splitting into two tech spheres, American and Chinese, forcing countries to choose sides. This technological divide will shape global power for decades. The tech race may decide who leads the future. Is China replacing the US as the world's superpower? Supporters say China's economic momentum, military modernization, and unified strategy give it a long-term edge. America's internal divisions and mounting debt are seen as signs of decline. But others argue America's advantages remain strong: global military reach, the dollar's dominance, and unmatched innovation. China faces its own challenges: an aging population, debt, environmental issues, and global backlash against its authoritarianism. Its centralized system may stifle the innovation that drives US strength. The world is becoming more multipolar, but China isn't a true global superpower yet. The US still holds powerful cards, but the gap is closing. The outcome is far from certain. The great power contest is just beginning. The US remains the world's most powerful nation, but China is now a true peer competitor. We're no longer in a unipolar world, nor is China the clear leader. This rivalry will define the global landscape for decades. America's strengths, alliances, innovation, and cultural appeal. China's manufacturing, long-term strategy, and tech prowess. Both face serious internal challenges that could shape their futures. The choices made in Washington and Beijing will impact global peace and prosperity. This isn't just a debate for experts, it affects us all. Who will lead the 21st century? The answer is still being written.